Olvera, who is still out this evening with an excused absence. Tonight, our Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led by Councilmember Prout and our invocation by Councilmember Alvarado. If you guys can please stand and remain standing throughout.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we just come before you. We just thank you for this beautiful day you have given us. We thank you for all the blessings. We thank you for everything you have done for us. And we just ask you to guide us through this meeting and protect everyone that's here and also protect those that are not able to be here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Okay, I am going to move to an approval of agenda. Sir, any modifications to agenda?
One notation, we will not be having the closed session that was originally scheduled for tonight. There's no update. We'll be pulling that.
Okay, so I need an approval of agenda. It's an amended agenda, removing the closed session item for this evening. And motion in a second, please.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Prout. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado?
Yes, approval of agenda.
Yes, yes.
Prout?
Yes.
Espinoza?
Yes.
And Given?
Yes, at this time, we're going to move into public comment. Public comments for any person wishing to speak on any item included on the agenda or on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city of Shafter. Speakers are invited to speak from the podium and addressing the city council. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless other time is needed for translation. Please state your name and address for the record. Public comment time is open. So quiet. Anything online? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, public comment time is closed. At this time, we do have a presentation. I would assume that's why all these wonderful young ladies are here tonight. And so we do have a presentation for our Shafter High School Lady Generals Junior Varsity Soccer Team. I'm going to move my way this way. Back meeting. Y'all came in ready to go. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do my best. We'll call your guys' name out. We have a resolution. Coach, will you come up? Come join me for a little bit. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna read through the resolution. We're gonna read through the resolution and then I'm gonna read your names off. If you're here, come on up and grab one. If not, I'm handing it to you. I don't know who's Oh, come on now.
I don't have to, they could grab whichever one and then they figure out which I belong to who.
This is a resolution of commendation for the 2024 Shafter High Lady Generals Junior Varsity Soccer Team. Whereas the 24-25 Shafter High Lady Generals Junior Varsity Soccer Team had an exceptional and memorable season led by head coach Elizabeth Becerra, and whereas the Junior Varsity Girls Soccer Team finished the league season as the South Sequoia League champions, achieving an unprecedented season record with an overall record of 10-0-2. Whereas these young women did all this with class, honor, hard work, selflessness, and a genuine love for each other. They are a source of pride for the community of Shafter and have honorably represented the Shafter's competitive spirit. Whereas the City Council does hereby recognize the following women. We will read your names here shortly. Therefore, be resolved that the City Council of the City of Shafter proclaim that all citizens of Shafter join together in recognizing and congratulating these special young women, and a special tribute to the Shafter High Lady Generals Junior Varsity Soccer Team passing about today. Maybe we're in order, maybe we're not going to say anything before I say anything.
No, I just want to congratulate them. I mean, I was reading the agenda and I'm like, wait, when they able, so I had to contact people to make sure that you guys do recognize on behalf of the Assembly women. It's an honor and a privilege. They're not only your head coach, but you guys put effort, time, and dedication to the craft, and that's why you champion. Thank you.
Okay, we ready? I'm going to try my best to not get too much, but I made no promises. I was told, someone help me on this one, Edizeli, Venezuela. Am I saying that right? Edizeli? Haven Caldera. Oh, not here. Ditali Puente. Alessandra Valle. Oh, stay here, stay here. We're gonna
Mhm.
pictures with everybody you're showing.
Alejandra.
Annette Lagunas. Valeria Cantori Andre. Stephanie, Palomino. Ruby Morales. I thought this was Ruby. Dayanara Mesa.
I know I have problems with the name too, Mayor. I was like, I like my,
Yeah.
they're unique like mine, Clara now.
Mariah Batista. Mariah Batista. Georgina Maldonado. Gina Lar. Danielle Diaz. Valerie Diaz. Natalie Diaz. Valeria Gonzalez. Yvette Baroque. Jackie Vega. Melody Perez. Valari Sanchez. Valentina Chavez.
You got one more thing?
Jimena Montagron, how do you say the last name? Zaira, see, I was trying to figure that one out. Zaira Jardon. That's an interesting-
They are, there really is.
Yep. And Alyssa Gonzalez. You guys are like all the way back to the beginning. Ladies, come over here. Congratulations, ladies, you guys get front row. Council,
With this one, then you can hold yours. You make great control. I want to do that with me.
next step up,
I'm not going.
I'm gonna tell you the tall one. Next step up.
Can we get a line in the front knee?
Yeah, good, they can, yeah, you gotta be like, they can see you. Like right here.
Couple more on this side and one knee, or two over that. First of all, let me say congratulations on this guy's season. That was a great job. Okay, let me see if I can get back. You guys go right up next to him and we'll try to squeeze in behind. Make sure you can see the camera.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hold your poses. Got it.
Perfect. Congratulations.
And that we get 33. Okay, wait, I wanna take a selfie. Sarah, Sarah. You like
Good.
No, I put it there too. So you can give me your. Hey, I wanna know.
Ladies, once again, congratulations to each and every one of you. Sometimes people don't know that soccer doesn't happen in the warmest of months, sometimes the coldest of months, the rainiest of months, the darkest of months. It's a lot of work, and you guys are dedicating a lot of time to that. So congratulations on a season well fought, well done. Coach, way to go. Council?
And thank you for the parents too that have always been supportive with your students. It takes a lot. It takes understanding to deal with them each day, each week. So thank you to you too.
It's always good to see youth involved in sports and, you know, doing their best, going out there and, you know, just doing their best and being an example for others and being, you know, good character and, you know, just really proud of all of you girls. I'm glad that the mayor was the mayor, that he was able to mention all those names. I think I would have been tongue twisted there.
I was a little, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
ladies. I'm so sorry.
But, you know, like they said, you know, to the coach, thank you for stepping up, coach, for taking on this, and also the parents. Parents play a big role, supporting their child, you know, their children in sports. So keep it up, girls, and because there's other girls looking up to you. So you're actually a role model to other girls in sports, and always give it your best. And congratulations. Good job.
Well, let me just, I can't say how happy I am and congratulate you enough. It's great to be able to work together as a team and to go through the struggles and go through a season like that. And what were you? You only, what was the record?
10-0-2.
We started with tournaments, we lost about 3 games, and then once league started, we just started on the right foot, we didn't lose any, and we just tied 2.
Well, that's outstanding. That's outstanding. You know what? I know the commitment it takes to keep your grades up and to put in the hours that you do at practice. It's a great commitment, and then not only that too, but you're putting Shafter on the map, which is a great thing. So once again, congratulations.
So we are going to move into the next portion of our agenda, which is consent calendar. However, before I do, unless you have so desired to stay for the entire meeting, and you don't have to, this would be a good opportunity, ladies, if you wanted to get up and go, or you can stay and join us. Your choice. We got about an hour and a half ahead of us. We are going to. I'm just giving the. You're welcome. Congratulations again, ladies.
How many for a team?
Well, there's 11 players on the field. You could play with
We
11.
had a good turnout. It's a good turnout.
Okay, with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're moving into our council announcements and reports. Councilmember Alvarado, we'll start with you this evening.
Well, a lot of you know, I've been absent for about a month already, seems like a long time. But I do want to say thank you to staff for keeping me in the loop of things. Also, this, you know, Yasmina, sometimes we don't see what she does, but she does things behind the scene. And as you see, one of these events that we just saw. It was a request, came in pretty late in the week, and she made it happen. So again, thank you, Yasmina, for doing things behind the scene that nobody knows, but we do know. So thank you. Some of you know the reason I was off for about a month is just because of my mother. She had surgery. She had a 6-hour surgery, and she had back surgery, and she's 81 years old. There for a while, you know, of course, I was a little scared and nervous about what the outcome was going to be. And thanks to God, definitely thanks to God, everything worked like clockwork. She's coming home tomorrow, you know, so yeah, that's the praise report. God is good. So, but again, I thank you for all of you that prayed for her and kept us in your prayers. Thank you very much. But that was, you know, that was it. I'm back, so excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Prout.
Yes, I had a few events coming up along the past 2 weeks. One of them is South San Joaquin Valley Policy Committee that I listened to on Zoom, and a couple of interesting things because most of you know what's going on with the state government as well as federal government. State budget has got a deficit, so they're kind of still trying to work through what their budget's going to be for the future. In the federal part, it's interesting to know that funding could be there, but we have to resubmit applications for any transportation projects, as well as the roundabout that goes in at 43 and 7th Standard is still lacking of money. So contacts with Congressman Valadeo would be helpful. We need $2 or $3 million, and we can send letters or certainly let him know that we support the project. High-speed rail is pretty much on hold with state or federal government. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Then we had a grand opening at Richland School for their expanded learning opportunity program building. And if you've been over there, some of you may have kids over there, students that are involved in those grade levels. The one that's built today is at the Redwood School area. But a nice building with nice activities, well used for after-school programs. On the 26th, we had an employee appreciation barbecue lunch and activities that was held out at the community park at Gossamer Grove, well attended by our staff and well received by the staff. We appreciate them all. On the 28th, attended the Distinguished Young Women's Program for Shafter, and the girls were all outstanding. There were 10 girls that participated, and of the 10, one selected was Jocelyn Perucci. She also won talent as well as voted in with a Spirit Award from all the girls. It was really a nice turnout and excellent performance of all the girls. On the 29th, I went to a car show at Don Metler's house, and it was in memory of Freeman Nixon because he was such a supportive businessman in the community, as well as car shows that he had, and many of them came throughout Shafter as well as from Bakersfield. It was a nice day. It was on Saturday. Then on the 30th, I went to Wasco because they were celebrating the inaugural of the first event for recognizing mental health or World Bipolar Day, and it was held downtown Wasco. They really featured a huge amount of people that got up and told what mental health was, what it can do for you, and what is available. There were doctors that were there, professors from the colleges, as well as students and some other adults who have their own personal self-story and told about their successes in overcoming some of their issues. Also, the evening or the day was recognizing the Assemblywoman Jasmine Bain, who was recognized for her Health Advocate of the Year. She was really excited about it. She had some short time with everyone because she was at clinic, but well received all around. So that concludes what I had.
Okay, Councilmember Espinoza.
On the 25th, I also attended the grand opening of the Richland Expanded Learning Center's Opportunity Program Building. It was a neat building with a nice design. It had glass roll-up doors, and it had a removable dancing floor, and just a totally different new look for a classroom. And to my understanding, they're going to be building some new ones there close to the swimming pool, about 4 more. So I attended that. On the 26th, I attended the Employee Appreciation Luncheon out at, what was that park? Community Park over in Gossamer Grove. And it was just a fun time of lunch break for the employees, and they were out there playing softball. And I kept telling myself I had to go back to work, so I didn't want to get out there and play with them. But anyway, they looked like they were having a great time. And then on Monday, the 31st, I attended an oath of office for Police Dispatch Supervisor Lori Meyer, who I understand is a Shafter, grew up in Shafter, and she's a dispatcher now, going to be working with the police department, has like 17 years of experience. So I'd like to welcome her, and that's all I have.
Very good. It's been a busy few weeks. I will just echo the sounds that you have heard thus far and move into our consent calendar items for this evening. Item number 1 is to approve general checks. Number 2 is to approve payroll. Number 3, approve overtime report. Number 4, approve a special event permit. I'm going to say this so wrong, the Chopiner Shows Carnival Rides at Mantle Park, May 2nd through 5th. Approve the special event permit for Cinco de Mayo Parade and Festival. That is May 3rd. Number 6 is to approve the cancellation of the regularly scheduled city council meeting of April 15th. Number 7, adopt the City of Shafter Section 3 compliance plan. Number 8, review ordinance number 736, review and approve a report of updated inventory of military equipment utilized by the Shafter Police Department pursuant to Assembly Bill 481. Number 9, approve the expenditure for electronic citation, or e-cite as otherwise called, for a total cost of $51,342.96. Number 10, authorize a budget amendment and approve a proposal from Provost and Pritchard Consulting Group in the amount of $56,000 for design services related to the Zerker Road Reconstruction Phase 4 project. Number 11, accept the public improvements completed for the 2024 Residential Street Improvement Project. Approve an appropriation of Transportation Development Act funds, or TDA, totaling $19,645.07 to the project. Number 12, accept the public improvements completed for the Stringham Park amenities. Authorize a budget amendment of $13,132.47 from the city's general fund. Number 13, accept the public improvements completed for the Veterans Park Soccer Field lighting project. Number 15, accept and approve a cost proposal for the replacement of a traffic controller and installation of battery backup equipment submitted by Loop Electric in the amount of $54,810 with services not to exceed $60,000. And lastly, number 15, adopt ordinance number 765. Questions, comments, or concerns? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion in a second on the approval of consent.
Also moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Proud, a second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes, very good. At this time, we're going to move into an item for a public hearing. We have one item on the docket for this. This is the extension of time for tentative track map number 7421. Mr. Esselman.
Yes, Honorable Council, my name's Steve Esselman, I'm the Planning Director, and this item is an extension of time for tentative track map number 7421. Go ahead, next slide. So as you can see, the kind of the brown shaded area in the northeast portion of the Gossamer Grove specific plan is tentative track 7421. This tract, it consists of, I hope that says 18.4 acres. I don't have my glasses on. Or 13.39 net acres, thank you, which consists of 97 single-family lots. It is in the Gossamer Grove specific plan area. It is currently a vacant lot, and it is located east of Community Drive and north of Eagle Creek Drive. The map was originally approved about 2 years ago in March of 2023. It now expires March 21st of 2025. It's tolled currently because they started the application before the expiration date. Title 16 of which is our subdivision ordinance here in the city, as well as the Subdivision Map Act, allows for the map to be extended up to 3 more times with this approval, if you just decide to approve the map extension. If you were to approve the map extension, the date requested would be for the extension of the map to expire March 21st of 2027, or 2 years from now. This allows the applicant, Lennar Homes of California, additional time to prepare a final map for recordation for the tract. And with that, staff recommends that the council conduct a public hearing and adopt Resolution 3014, approving a 2-year extension of time per Government Code Section 66452.6.e for tentative track map 7421 to now expire March 21st, 2027, subject to the conditions approved on March 21st, 2023. And with that, I'm here to entertain any questions you may have.
Very good. This is a public hearing item, so at this time, we're going to open up for any public comment for the public hearing. Seeing none, hearing none, public hearing is closed. Council, questions, comments, or concerns? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion and a second, please, for adoption. No, no motion, no second, council? Sure.
No, what they would do is they're extending for 2 more years, and then what they would have to come in with, it was a final map. That's the map where it is approved. It is then with that final map, it is recorded with, right now, it's just an extension of basically the agreement that the city and the applicant have had with each other, the conditions of approval, the way the track map looks. But that's just basically an agreement between the city and the applicant. When it actually gets approved, they want 2 more years to sort of get the map, provide a final map. And that would again come to you guys for approval. If you approve, then we record it and they would become legal lots at that time. Just an extension of time on their track map, their tentative track map.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Prout. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
Givens.
Yes, very good. We're going to move into our management report. This evening, we have 4 items on the docket for management report. Item number 1 is the annual comprehensive financial report, otherwise known as ACFR, for fiscal year 2023-2024. Mr. Sanchez, good afternoon.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, Roger Sanchez, Finance Director. So in the last council meeting, I presented the financial results. I provided some summaries. And tonight we have a brief presentation from the audit manager from LSL. Her name is Kelly Gonzalez, and she will provide her findings as an independent auditor. So with that, also I want to thank LSL team who have dedicated countless hours over the last 5 audits. They have been a real partner with us, with the city. They've added a lot of value, and I'm very much appreciative of their contributions. So with that, I'll pass the time to Kelly Gonzalez.
Thank you, Roger. I'll go ahead and share my screen
Hold on
with
one
you
second.
guys.
Audio problems. We're not hearing you yet.
Oh, can you hear me now?
There you are. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Roger, for that introduction. I'm going to share my screen and I'll do a brief presentation with you guys. One second. I think you would think I would know this after all the COVID years, but perfect. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as Roger mentioned, we are the external financial auditors. On this slide, you have just a brief summary of your team. So you have Christian Towns, which is the partner on the engagement, myself, which was serving as the manager who oversaw the audit, the financial statements, and then Sam Asbra, which was the supervisor who was kind of more of the point of contact for Roger and the finance team. So we'd like to thank them as well, for being really helpful throughout the audit, being available for any questions and for all the hard work, and also any of the city staff that helped in the audit process. So the scope of our engagement as the independent external auditors include financial statement audit in accordance with the generally accepted auditing standards and government audit standards. So additionally, we do issue other reports for the city. These include the appropriations limit agreed upon procedures, the TDA financials, and the single audit report, which are all completed as of today. The focus on the presentation tonight, though, will be on the financial statement audit, noting that management is responsible for everything you see in the financial statements before you, including the account balances, any of the footnote disclosures, and supplementary information. Our role as the external auditors is to audit the significant balances and to determine if they're materially correct. This is just different from an absolute determination over the information. We're not intended to test 100% of every number and confirm every transaction. Our intent is to determine whether those balances are materially correct, and if there is any small variances, to determine if those would affect the overall decisions of those using the financial statements. I'll move on to my next slide. So our scope of our engagement is broken out into 2 parts. We call them 2 periods. Our interim fieldwork, which was the week of June 24th. During this fieldwork part, we examine the internal controls within the city. We provide any feedback to management, any best practice recommendations. We also perform our risk assessment, which is used as part of our year-end fieldwork. Do planning for any of our year-end procedures. So kind of just more of a prep and reviewing the internal control process, as well as small testing on those internal control procedures. And then our year-end fieldwork, which was scheduled for November 18th to December 6th. We do more detailed testing on account balances and transactions. We do also compliance testing with laws, regulations, grant agreements, both federal and non-federal grants, and any other procedures to obtain necessary information for the audit. I'll move on to our next slide, which is the result of our audits. So the first report we issued is the audit opinion. Based on our audit of significant transactions, our understanding of the city's policies and procedures, and our test work results, we have issued an opinion that the financial statements are free from material misstatements. For the city, we rendered an unmodified opinion, which means it's a clean opinion, meaning that the financial statements complied with all applicable GASB statements and that the numbers reported in these statements are materially correct. The second report is the report on internal controls over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. And the slide before where I mentioned understanding the city's internal control processes, management is required to put internal controls in place to protect the city's assets and to ensure that there's accurate financial reporting throughout the year. We do not audit the internal controls. We only consider them in the design and the effectiveness on how they affect the financial statements. And because we do not audit the internal controls, we do not express an opinion on the internal controls. So this letter is intended to report on any deficiencies in those controls that just kind of come to our attention that could risk the reliability of the financial statements. For the city, we did identify one material weakness surrounding financial reporting, and those impacts to the financial statements have been addressed and incorporated into the statements to ensure that they're materially correct. And through the discussions with management, we expect those factors causing the material weakness to be fully resolved this year. The next letter that we issue and the final letter that we issue is the audit communication letter, also known as the SAS 114 conclusion letter. This letter summarizes the audit process and our interactions with your team. I think it's important to note that we encountered no challenges working with the finance department. The team was very helpful in answering any questions, made themselves available either through emails, video calls, phone calls, as often as was needed to keep the financial statements moving forward and the audit smoothly. We also didn't have any disagreements with management over any estimates, which could be any pension, GASB 86, 87, or 96. We determined that all those estimates were reasonable that were used by management. And we also did not identify any fraud, waste, or abuse during the 2024 audit. And then as part of the conclusion of over the financial statement audit, we also management signed the management representation letter. This is a common letter that is signed. This letter shows the understanding and acceptance of the management's responsibilities and that they are not aware of any errors or fraudulent activity that was required to be reported as the auditors. It's a very standard letter and it's required for all audits. In my next slide, I'll just do a quick summary of the financial highlights, which you've seen on your statements. So the net position increased 15.6 million during the year to 232.3 million, with unrestricted net position a total of 42.3% of the total net position. The general fund unrestricted balance represented 39.5% of the total fund balance, and that was an increase of 10.6 million from the prior year. And then your capital assets increased 8.5 million. Your debt also had an increase of 0.17 million or 20% from prior year. And then your net pension liability had an overall change increase of 1.9 to the current year of 4.4 million. OPEB liability increased 0.04 to 1.03 million from the prior year. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And then on the last slide, I just have my contact information if there is anything that comes up. But thank you so much for allowing me to give this presentation and for the finance team as well.
I was wondering, could you go back 2 slides, please?
Yes. So for the financial highlights?
Back. I'd like to make a comment. Oh, no, go back forward.
Forward
To the
on.
SAS. Yeah,
Right
thank
there,
you.
right there. Hold it right
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
This is to, our finance department. We identified no fraud, waste, or abuse during the fiscal year ending June 30. Good job, Roger.
Thank you.
Good job. That needs to be noted right there because
Thank you.
that means that you're doing the people's business and you're doing it trustworthy. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, very good. Any other questions, comments, or concerns, folks? Hearing none, seeing none. This is an accepting of the report, so I do need a motion and a second to carry, please.
I'll motion.
Being that there's no fraud, I'll second it.
That'll be somebody, all right. I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, a second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Given.
Yes, thank you very much. Good job again, Roger. I appreciate that. Okay, item number 2, the city branding project with Chandler Thinks LLC approval. Miss Zermino.
See,
C.
you didn't slaughter it. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. Tonight, we bring before you the city's branding project. We come full circle, 360. We're back here after a year and a half. Just a little bit of background, the City Council approved a professional service agreement with Chandler Thinks back in July of 2023. Chandler Thinks is a branding company out of Nashville, Tennessee, who is highly recommended for their expertise in helping communities. You need some? Oh, helping their communities tell their authentic stories. The purpose of the project was to develop Shafter's competitive identity by leveraging its strengths, history, and aspirations to enhance our economic development. In October of 2023, we officially launched the project conducted by Chandler Thinks with extensive research and community engagement. Altogether, there were 700 participants, over 700 participants, comprising from residents, businesses, organizations, and external stakeholders. Part of that research, there was one-on-one interviews. There were several focus groups, surveys with residents and external stakeholders. There was a Facebook group that was created and a city tour. During the research part of the project, there were some key theme elements that we want to highlight that were told to us or to the consultants through the research. Some of those are the passion for our agricultural heritage, the strong sense of community here in Shafter, exceptional public safety, community engagement, and financial strategies, centrally located with logistic advantages. We're progressive and a visionary leadership. We're a vibrant culture events here in Shafter with a Mexican influence. Deep-rooted significance to Shafter High, that was mentioned a lot through the research, and the sound of the train, which is a part of our everyday life. Through the project, there was a few challenges. The project has been in the making for the past year and a half, but it's important to know that during the project, we lost 3 committee members and we gained 3 new committee members. So at those different times throughout the project, we had to catch the new members up to speed with where we were at in the project. And I will conclude with, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to our community for their participation and patience in this project, to the committee for their patience and for keeping the community's heart when making decisions. The project was truly a community effort. Alongside with our consultants, Chandler Thinks, who's behind me, we hope you will enjoy and embrace the presentation tonight, and we seek your approval for the brand standards of the project, and we hope to move forward with Shafter's future. Thank you. And with that, the famous Steve Chandler.
The famous
Thank you.
Steve.
Glad to be back, council, mayor, and community members. Fitting. So, you know, we were contacted. Does this work? Okay, great. Fantastic. A brief note before I go. I have a lot to cover in a little bit of time to do it. I think this is important. We all are familiar with branding.
Yeah.
Nike, Coca-Cola, even the Wonder Company. There's a lot of great brands out there. We have a challenge as a community. It's more difficult for a city to brand itself than any company I've ever worked with. I got my start in consumer products business years ago. Since then, I've worked on over 140 different municipal and destination branding projects. That's all we do. Unlike a consumer products company, we do not own our name. We do not have complete control of our product. And we can't make everybody move forward with our branding. Any company on the face of the earth has control of all three of those. Very precious in the world of what we are trying to do, which is consistency, uniformity. When we speak, people recognize us. When we all get around something, excited about it. Because the more excited a community is, the more attractive it is to investors and to residents, because it harnesses pride, right? That's what we want to do. But the way we express our pride is different. And we're all right when we do it. So it's a challenge. And so what I'm going to take you through what we set out to do from the very beginning. Two things. One, what is our story? Because we tell our story in different ways depending on how you come across us. A wonderful group of young ladies here tonight are a piece of our story. They didn't have to have our logo on them. In fact, they had a logo on them. It was their school, right? They're still part of all of our story. The building, this is one of my favorite municipal buildings I've ever been in, because I haven't been in one that looks like this. It's got a great past and a great heritage to it, right? I just like the terracotta, right? But that says something about this community. The entrance of the Rose of Agriculture says something about this community. The 3rd of July is a big deal here to this community. We know Shafter High School. I'm sorry, my company colors don't jive with you all, by the way.
Yeah, no.
But the story is told by so many ways, and that was what we set out to. How can we unite our story behind a common theme, but yet it can look differently depending on how you come across it. So that was number one. Number two, we have to engage our community. In fact, the reason Cosmo, the reason they recommended us, why would you recommend a firm out of Nashville, Tennessee? I mean, let's be honest. Why would you? It's for hopefully just for two reasons. One, even Tiger Woods had a golf coach. All right. So sometimes you need someone from the outside to see it. But most importantly, our process is dependent on community engagement, on community involvement. That is what makes us, that's our secret sauce, is community engagement. So that being said, that's what we set out to do. Let's tell the story of Shafter. Let's see here. Is this, I got to get used to it here. All right. I'll get there in a second. The objectives defined by this project were to define its brand identity, create the Shafter story, as I said, to provide a common and consistent message, establish our competitive identity, then prepare a plan to share that message, to energize our economic development efforts, and I can't emphasize enough, community pride, super important. The purpose of branding is to do just that, strong image. In the absence of a strong identity, by the way, if we aren't proactively managing our reputation, any one thing or one person can do it for us. In fact, one person told us in our interviews, they said, we've had it's been a rough last few years. I don't know what they meant by that. 10 years, 15 years, I don't know. And we're on the fringe of something new. Is this the right time to do this? Right? Because we're moving forward in a new chapter. Is it the right time? Absolutely. Capture your vision and unify everyone together. That's what this is absolutely out to do. Uniformity, consistency, familiarity, and connectivity. So I won't go through this. As Rachel said, over 700 participants. Again, that's our secret sauce. It's not about what we think. In fact, everything that we did after this was to reflect what you all said and what others said about Shafter And that's what we did. My colleague, our Director of Research and Community Engagement was here several months ago and took you through the entire research presentation, which I just can't, I'm not going to do that tonight. The brand truths are super important. The brand truths are the things that we identify as when we went through all the research. What are the things that we cannot move forward in branding and telling our story without these being factors in it? Number one, our identity is strongly tied to our agricultural past and heritage. The Depot Museum was fantastic. If anyone in the community hasn't been in that, it's wonderful. I love the potato sacks personally. Shafter benefits of its central location, the San Joaquin Valley, and proximity to Bakersfield, of course. There's a relationship there. It's interesting to hear you all talk about your neighbors in a positive way, but we are defined by who we're next to.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. We're defined by who we're standing next to. As a community, you don't compete against communities in Kentucky. You do in California, particularly this part of California, right? And we are compared to Bakersfield. That is part of our identity. It's okay, right? Our tight-knit, helpful, safe community are a key asset. The number one thing that we heard in the research that the city of Shafter does, it's public safety, hands down. Doesn't mean you don't do other things really well. Apparently finance is great too. But public safety is super, super valued in this community. But more than that, you know each other's kids. You know the schools they go to beyond Shafter High School. You recognize them by name. You're familiar. You feel safe in your community. It's super, super. You're helpful. You help one another. It came over and over again. And it tied to that, your small town traditions are important. In fact, I think that's a little bit of the, maybe if I were to sum up what we learned, our team learned more than anything when we visited was the idea of we're moving forward in a new Shafter in a way. Does that mean we lose our heritage? I mean, logistics, like that wasn't what our guys on the train thought when they were coming up from Southern California up here as working in potatoes and agriculture and almonds. Are we going to lose that? And I think what I'll say is Shafter's always been defined by its land. It continues to be defined by its land, even if that land is logistics. Even the train has a new role today. Shafter's always been defined by its people and the character and the small town traditions, tight-knit community that you see in this slide. And that isn't changing. We do grow. We grow. But let's do it the way that maintains and preserves, which is what branding a city is about, preserves our character. And that's what we set out to do. Let's see if we did it. And I'm going to tell you a brand story. I'm going to do my best, okay? I got a little bit of Kentucky, Tennessee yeehaw in me, so I apologize for that. All right? But Luke Bryan's coming to town, so I figure I'm going to warm you up for him, okay? All right? He lives down the road from me, no joke. His house is a little bit bigger than mine, but anyway. But what is a brand story? I'll tell you this. A brand story, it's the very first thing we do in the creative process of telling a community story. And here's why. There's my southernness right there. Here's why. Is because we have to speak about Shafter in a lot of different ways. In fact, this story won't even include all of it. I'm trying to understand, what do we look like? What do we sound like? What do we care about? What's important to us? Will it include everything? No. If I kept going for 5 more pages, I could probably cover a lot more. But the goal of a brand story is to set the tone, just like the opening of a paragraph of a good book. That's what we're trying to establish. It could go on and on. Now, that being said, what I'm going to read to you makes for a great video. All right? Okay. That being said, here we go. See if this sounds like Shafter. And I hope it's okay, council. I'm kind of looking at some of the residents too, because I feel like this is such a community thing. I apologize if that's disrespect. Okay. All right. At the southern end of the San Joaquin Valley, amid some of the most fertile land in the world, lies a place that's known for making waves. Because Shafter, one of California's fastest growing cities and a leader in major agribusiness and industrial operations, has created a model for growth and success that's been getting attention nationwide. Yet, its relaxed pace and small town charm belie the significant commercial activity taking place and global logistic hub as it has become. Diversifying into major trade and logistics enterprises has led to the development of an industrial park, attracting corporate giants and top Fortune 500 companies. But this is no typical industrial park complex. It's a model for the future, taking a sustainability-driven approach that benefits and integrates seamlessly with the local community and its surrounding environment. Of course, none of this has happened by chance. Since its founding in 1913, Shafter has been committed to laying and building a foundation for opportunity, innovation, community pride, and connectivity. Since its early roots as a center for agriculture and rail transportation, Shafter has continued to be recognized for its easy distribution access to markets around the country and the world. Because the city has focused on the issues that matter most to residents and businesses, such as enhanced education, safety, economic development, community services, housing, and infrastructure, many families and commercial businesses have decided to call Shafter home. And what they inevitably find is a town whose heart and soul centers around strong family values, a profound sense of belonging, collaboration, and support that lifts all. Here, the community is truly considered family. From the bountiful orchards and carrot fields to the Friday night lights traditions on the home football field, this close-knit community's rich cultural heritage, traditions, the arts and spirit have created powerful connections among the people who live and work here. Whether connecting people in its early years through the Santa Fe Railway, today through advanced fiber optic networks, or at one of Shafter's colorful Cinco de Mayo celebrations, the city takes pride in creating a high quality of life as an extraordinary place to live, work, and grow. No doubt, Shafter's welcoming atmosphere, vibrant personality, resiliency, and iconic can-do spirit have generated abounding possibilities for families, businesses, and individuals alike to thrive, setting the city on a path for even greater accomplishments as a leader in the years ahead, a path that will continue to cultivate prosperity. There's a story of a Shafter that if you don't get excited, you better check your pulse. That's a story of Shafter that's easy to make up when you listen to 700 people tell you what Shafter's all about.
Yeah.
You might even heard a line that came out of that. Shafter, California, cultivating prosperity. Let me take this further. I'm going to show you things that look like ads. Don't worry, they're not running yet, right? These are ad steps, but they look like print ads. The reality is, for economic development, you might make sense to do some print ads, but it might make sense to be more of a digital focused campaign. That hasn't been determined yet. But what do we look like when we speak? That was the goal. And so that involves graphic design, the art of advertising and headlines and body copy and things like that. So I'm going to show you some ideas that represent the story and make it look something that's a little bit more tangible, right? That's what so we call them ad steps, or really ad ideas. All right, so the main idea is that Shafter provides the charm and small town family environment with personal and professional growth opportunities on an unexpectedly global scale. We don't want to lose our small town charm either. But it doesn't mean we think small. It means we do things at a world stage if we want to, and we can go out and get it, right? Anybody can do something here. When you advance global impact, you advance prosperity. Shafter, California, cultivating prosperity, right? So you see how we can maintain this sense of close-knit community, small town charm, yet don't think that we're thinking small when it comes to what we can achieve, right? It could look this way. When you enrich education, you enrich prosperity. Shafter, California. This could be for recruiting families to move here, perhaps. Or here's same idea, it's just expressed a different way. You wouldn't run them both at the same time, of course. But how do you quantify exceptional living? You can't, but we have an abundance of it in Shafter, California, cultivating prosperity. Or how do you measure prosperity in Shafter, California? All right. So again, if you did small space, again, there's a lot of, these are just mock-ups of what, of existing communications that the city of Shafter has done in the past, actually, and we just took them and kind of tightened them up from a branding perspective. So this just shows you what small space communication looks like. Again, the other part of branding is conformity, uniformity, excuse me. So when people see us, they know who's speaking, right? The role of, what is that on here? There's a logo. I guess I need to talk about it. But the goal of a logo is to show ownership. It is not to say everything about a community. In fact, that's why we start with the brand story. Do you know how ridiculous it would look like if we just said everything about Shafter in a logo? That's not what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to say, who's speaking to me and does it fit the place that's talking it, right? Does it look like that place? It needs to have a piece, a tip of something that tells our story, but didn't tell the whole story, right? So color design does all that. And you can see how that would look. We took our line, I'm going to come back to the logo in just a second. Cultivating prosperity was a theme line that came out of this. So we mocked up, that also could be a theme for other things. Cultivating global impact. If I'm talking economic, cultivating community, cultivating education, cultivating fun, by the way, cultivating shopping or community events. All right, let's talk about the logo. We went through, I have to say, the committee, they pushed your consultants. All right? They didn't settle. And I mean that in the most positive way. We went through and we took those brand truths and we had the brand story and we started through the logo process and we liked a lot of them, but it wasn't landing just right. There was something missing. We knew what we liked, but we weren't sure what was missing and we kept challenging ourselves. So we went back to the drawing board more than once. I can tell you that. This wasn't whatever the consultant says, we're going to do it. And I think that's important. I think it's important. It says something about this community and what we do when we work with anybody. We're going to do things because there's a measurement that we expect for our city, and we're going to live up to it. And you held the people that are trying to help you tell that story to it. We got to a point where we felt like we're so close, but we couldn't find it. And actually, it was the mayor. Chad said, "Do you have any problem, Mr. Community Engagement, to go back to the community? Let's find some inspiration. Let's see if there's anything that we could grab a hold of that we could turn it." And you've already seen the results of it there. So that happened. Believe it or not, we went back. You all may have seen this. Calling all Shafter artists. There's a social media effort by the city to recruit artists for some inspiration. It just felt like the right thing to do for a community that is this close knit and the small town traditions matter. Let's have some. Let's see if there's some inspiration there. And that occurred. How many? Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Rachel, how many people responded? Over 80 people responded. And what's awesome is, I'm not saying they were all awesome, but you know what? Some of them were in coloring. There were kids. I mean, and you know what? It might not have been a good logo. It was beautiful. It told the Shafter story in their way. By the way, a coloring contest right now would be fantastic. It was awesome. So all of them were beautiful, and that's my point. Our story is wonderful, and it looks a little different depending on who tells it. Now, that being said, there were two pieces of I'm just going to call them art. They're better than art. But there were two pieces that came back that really did. We didn't know if we get inspiration or not, but we did. Both of them are with us tonight, actually. I apologize. Madame Soto, is that close enough for bluegrass, as I say? All right. Madame Soto, she is a graphic design student at Arizona State University, and she lives here in Shafter. I will highlight in just a second, but she had an idea in one of hers that was a reflection. Remember, we're cultivating prosperity was our theme and about our future and what we could do, but also our ag heritage. And she had this, we did 7 or 8 different suns ourselves, and they didn't work. I don't know why they didn't work. They just didn't feel like us. And yours, when the group saw it, was like, that's us. That's what we've been trying to find in the sun. So she had a spark of that. And thank you very much. Jorge Aguilar. Jorge had other elements of it that stood out like crazy. And if I could actually point them out. So this is it. I'm correct on this? And then Jorge had this inspiration, and we're like, I don't know how to put them together because you got to be careful. You're dealing with 2 different artists. And I said, we had to reach out to Jorge and say, hey, we like this. We like what you did here. We like what she did here. Can you? That's a dangerous word to a good artist. Jorge is a graphic designer as well. Also here in Shafter, communications, may want to remember that moving forward. You got some local talent that can do some of this stuff. And he came back with a couple different renditions. Anyway, we saw it and went that we got the feeling that we wanted throughout the entire process that we weren't getting from our team. But so he took her son. What you'll also see, so yeah, we've got ag heritage and color and tone. I hope that's pretty obvious. But also there's a family atmosphere. There's a close, look at the F&T, locking hands or hands around each other, right? What's beautiful about that is that's professional. I can use that for economic development, but I can also talk about the community closeness. And then the S, we did, I counted 24 S's for it. That was the best one. Because it's cozy and comfortable, it's iconic by itself too, and that's what we were looking for. So we accomplished a lot of things. I'm so glad you all were here. It was great because it put the whole collaborative nature, community engagement front and center at an element of branding. It's not your brand entirely, but an element of it that gets used a lot in, right? That's the thing that's used on your ads and on your business cards and different things. So it's fantastic. Now, beyond that, we also have and Jorge is behind this as well, and also Medim's Sunburst. But you see, you all do not have a seal. And so it was like, well, let's create a version of this that is a city seal. The S by itself works, right? And so that's what that was intended to this. Now, the seal is not a logo, although they're both icon driven things. Seals are more to be elevated for distinguishments, distinguished honor, to show heritage and things like that. And then even it can be used by itself. Now, there's a color palette that's a part of this. I won't go through the geekness of the color palette. What I will tell you is you're not tutti frutti. That means don't use the colors all the time. It just means when you need a primary color, you want a tone that works well together. Imagine if you had a fluorescent yellow would not go with the rest of this, right? It's fluorescent, right? So all these tones have to work well. These tones all kind of have an ag heritage feel, you can tell, right? Brand guidelines. Now, council members, you should have a brand guidelines document on here. I'm not going to go through every page of it. Here's what I will go through. I can answer your questions when we get to it, though. But you know, at the very bottom is the most important part of it. Brand standards guide version 1.0. Guess what that means?
You can have multiple versions.
You can have another version. You know why? You haven't started using this yet. The reality is you're going to stump your toe. Now, we've done this 140 times. That's what we've learned. You put it 1.0 because about, I don't know, 6 months to a year, something's going to come up new. And you can go, oh, how do we deal with this? Oh, that's called version 2.0, right? Right? You update it. This is not a stone tablet. It didn't come down from Mount Sinai with this thing, okay? But it is a guide that says this is the standard that we follow today. And until we update it, then we'll follow that one, okay? That's how it's to be used. This is about graphic standards. What it does include in it, everything should go through your communications department is the kind of simple rule, the idea of this. In other words, council members, it's expected that you all don't go rogue with the logo and make your own version of it. You got to go through, I guess to go through and make your version of it, right? You can't, the police chief, you seem like a super nice guy, and I'm definitely not gonna tell you you're not. But you know, you can't make your own version of this. You gotta go through Rachel too. She's gonna be the bad cop in this situation, right? So there's some color palettes, some do's and don'ts, gives you an idea of, you know, how not to use the logo. That's really important. That's kind of a valuable thing to do. Fonts that we use, right? There's some fonts that none of y'all should use, to be honest with you. Only the person doing big advertising type messages, collateral and things like that. But everyday font, there's an everyday font in here as well. So it's got a lot of, even has some examples to show you for inspiration, okay? Doesn't mean every city vehicle has to look like this, but you get the idea. Okay, move on, Steve. Thank you very much. We got to go. All right. Signage, look, so the seal behind that wall right there would be perfect, right? So we mocked that up for you to show you what it looked like. I didn't even show you that. Pretty cool. Yeah. City vehicles. Now he did this. He put this on city vehicles to kind of show you what that could look like. And by the way, you could do that. That looks like a typical city vehicle if you took the backside off of it, just a white truck. But you know what I love is telling your story is supposed to be fun. We love where we live. Have a little fun, right? I love it. That looks like ag heritage, but it also looks like it's progressive. And this is a community moving forward, cultivating prosperity. So I love it. Even the Scout Mobile, right? Jorge did this all himself, by the way. I thought it looked just absolutely fantastic. You can have fun with merchandise. Sign me up. Send me a sweatshirt to Tennessee when you make these, please. I want one. Sign me up all day long. You get the idea. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of work ahead. There is a plan that's got to be in place. I can't emphasize enough. The very first thing that's literally in our recommendations to you all that you haven't even seen yet, but the very first thing is actually audit your assets. I mean, you literally, everything you have is an opportunity to brand. And by the way, you're not NASCAR. So you don't have to put your logo on everything. You tell your story in everything that you do, one way or another. So it could be how you answer the phone, believe it or not. You ever been to Chick-fil-A? The way they talk tells you something. All right. So put your branding tools to work and everything. Preserve this branding effort. This was important. You know what it says to a company, economic development wise? If they hear that a city went through a process, an expensive process too, by the way, you almost really care about your reputation. This must really matter to you. Why let me go home and all of a sudden this goes away? No, you need to create a section on your website, something that merchandises that we care about this. We went through a community process and put those pillars on a webpage. This is what we're about. This is not that whole story. That was too long, but a brief version of it, right? This is what Shafter's about. So when people come checking us out, they get the story. We got to preserve that we went to the lengths to do this effort, okay? There is a way to share with others. Don't forget, creating a sense of place is important. That's what we remember. People don't remember your logo. They remember a cool water tower, a mural. Sorry, Jorge, it's just the truth. You know, nothing personal, right? All right. So anyway, we're excited to be in this process with you. It's taken a longer time than any of us expected. And why? Because you all didn't settle. And I'm glad you didn't, because I think rightly so, the community helped get us there. And it was wonderful, good partners. So fantastic. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I would venture to say that when we started this process, I think you told us 7 to 9 months, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly. And I said, nah, we'll be somewhere between 5 and 7. We're going to move fast.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere around month 9, I believe we were on a Zoom meeting and you said you're going to eat your words on that one. And I ate my words on that one.
Yeah.
I do recognize that we put a lot of effort into this. I do recognize that a lot of folks back east were banging their heads on the wall when we had these calls because we just weren't getting where we wanted to go. And Miriam and Jorge, like when we put that call out there, it was one of those things like, what are we going to get? And we got some really, really cute ideas from kiddos and some really cool stuff. And we went through, if I'm correct, 64 different sons, just things that came out. It was a lot. And your guys have sparked us. And it helped us to kind of sit down for a second and go, what are we really after, right? This is what our community is now seeing. These are, and there was a lot of remnants of what you guys were putting out there that we are seeing throughout. Now, you guys had very, very clean versions of it. But we saw a lot of those remnants throughout, and it started teaching us something. When people think of Shafter, they're seeing sun, they're seeing bright, they're seeing what that really looks like. And when we're thinking about Shafter, the S per se, and having something solid to brand on, we saw that. And so what you guys presented was awesome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for sitting here and being a part of this. Your family's here with you, yes? Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. This is something that was just amazing. So thank you. Steve, thank you for everything you kind of pushed us through. I know we asked for a lot. So to you and your whole team, your team who has one of our Shafter signs sitting in their backyard right now.
That's true.
This is true. This is true. So there's a lot more connection.
It has nothing to do with this project. He's friends with a guy who's from Shafter, and he brought it with him, and now it's in, anyway.
We had no idea until that happened. It was awesome.
You didn't pay for me to do that.
No, I know. With that, council, any questions or comments? Anything you're seeing on what came across you guys tonight?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for the presentation. And I think it's so awesome that we have homegrown talent here that's being a part of this. So I'd like to say thank you very much for your work and your effort in this. And I was getting a little excited. I don't know if it was a Tennessee part of you or the actual the look of the logos and all that. I love the fact that there's a bunch of different ways we could use them and different ways we could do it with color schemes and stuff like that. So thank you so much.
Mayor,
Yeah, please.
come up to the mic.
We believe.
I'll hold your hand.
Don't be bashful now.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for trusting us. And this, I love this community so much that the idea is that we wanted to present this as the best way possible. Because just like Steve says, the logo is not everything, but still, yeah, we want to show, like we have potential to, not a small town, but a progressive city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, very good.
First, I want to say the logo is beautiful. And thank you for giving me such a confidence boost with the logo. It definitely is a starting graphic designing. It's a big deal for me. And I'm very excited to see the logo around the Shafter community. I think it's beautiful and it would definitely make everyone excited about it. It would look everything just new. I don't know.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
I'd like to say one more thing. Our community library is full of children that have helped paint the murals and everything in it. And when I went back to Washington DC for the inauguration, I ran across the mayor and his brother-in-law, who's a superintendent with the School of McFarland. And he started asking me a ton of questions about the library and how we did it and how it came about and everything. And I told him, I said, I don't want to mess you up by giving you some wrong information, so I'll get you together with the person who headed up the program, and that was David France. So then they got together, and it was just recently that they came to Shafter, and they went to go tour the Shafter Library, and they saw everything that we've done there, and I was too proud so proud that I was telling them that the kids were the ones that were part of all the paintings that's gone on there and everything, and how that just brought like a home touch to it. And you guys are doing the same thing. You guys are putting a little thumbprint on the city of Shafter, and that's great. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Council members, anything to add?
I can't argue the story, the history that you brought out, as well as some of the inputs. I would like to have some time to let it grow on me, because it wasn't really what I was looking for, and I haven't had it very long. And I'd like to have some time to, and maybe then Gus could even be back in the picture. I wasn't involved much in the project because we had two others that were on it, and we weren't kept up to date. But I'd like for it to grow on me, because I believe that it's something we're going to have to use for a while. And I appreciate what you put forward on it. I mean, I can't say that it's not, but I want to see us not take action tonight, but let's let it grow.
Anything to add, sir?
The logos, I mean, there was a lot of work involved,
Mhm.
you know, that you can't take away. And just to know that, the hands of this logo is from Shafter, you know, from people that live in Shafter, that are youth in Shafter. It's very nice. It's a very nice, I like this logo. Honestly, I really do like this logo. Matter of fact, I like the way it is. And I was looking, because this is actually my first time, as Councilmember Prout was saying, we weren't part of the branding process. So we didn't really get a good opportunity to like, grow with it, right? As where the mayor and the vice mayor now has had the opportunities. But, you know, I was looking at this. You know, I really liked how this setup was. I don't know what page, it's page 8, where it says Shafter Public Works, Shafter Police Department, Shafter Economic Development. That's pretty cool. You know, I could dig that. You know, I could dig that. And then where it says on the front, you know, Shafter, California. You know, I could dig that. You know, it's pretty cool. That's, you know, that's my one thought. I mean, one thought there. And I don't know what's going to take place, or what was supposed to take place, or what we're supposed to do with this, or what the outcome is going to be, or I'm sort of in the dark. But
Tonight is approval of the city branding package. This is the package? Okay. And
The brand standards.
I'm dropping.
And the story.
And the story.
Correct.
so by doing that, what does that mean? Because there's a lot in here.
That's why I said, I think it's good. I think it's good to let us have a chance to just get a feel of it and feel comfortable with it.
Go ahead.
Because it's not easy. It's not easy to come up. I've been involved in the last two logos that we've had, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it just, you see it in so many different ways, and yet I can't say I totally dislike it, but I'm not comfortable with it.
Sir?
I was just gonna clarify, so brand standards that you guys are voting, it really constrains how and when we use the logo, what formats are actually accepted and everything else. I don't think we have current brand standards for our city logo at all. Typically in larger institutions, we have these so that it basically stops, my old boss used to call it department heads going wild on the logo and putting their own one in and everything else. So it keeps us unified, kind of like with our social media. So we're telling one story on stuff, we're putting forward one logo. That's what the brand standards are for. That'll actually be ran by Rachel, if you guys proceed with this.
A
So-
good example would be the library. So they kind of have their own logo and we have our own. We would all uniform to this one. They might use a different color scheme than us, but to differentiate the department, or like you said, the different departments may be listed on a vehicle. So it'd be the logo and Public Works.
So, for example, just, let me see, page 8. So like in this, just for me to understand, right? So this right here, let's just say we approve this package, right? So we'll use Public Works just because it's right, their first one.
Mhm.
So they could take that and make any color that, as they wish to?
No,
No,
not any
the-
color.
the colors are
Using the
spec-
color palette that's in
Go to
the
the next
package.
page.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
but
one
it
with
would
the
be
5
those
colors.
colors that,
There.
correct.
Okay, but they could mix match any color as they wish.
Depending.
Oh,
No.
Not the truck, not the vehicle. It would be the colors that you're
So,
seeing now.
yeah, I mean, just to help interpret if that's okay. Yeah, this is intended to be the color combination for the city of
That's the
Chapel
one.
logo.
okay.
Now, could there be something that's not on here that's acceptable? Yes. Let one person, let that, the purpose of standards, I'm serious. The purpose of that's what I meant by this is not concrete. This is a guide. So you make decisions, but
Yeah,
who knows?
but I
how
would
we
just,
may come
where,
up.
where I'm confused
Yeah.
is that you got, this is your colors right here, right?
Mhm.
But I'm confused with these colors. What are,
They're accents.
oh, they're
So if you,
accents.
in the graphics that he showed you,
Uh-huh.
accents.
Thank you. Yeah, go to that.
So when we're doing, flyers and graphic design for social media, that's where the accent colors come in.
Yeah, like these.
Like that?
So
Okay.
like that's the blue and the tan color that you see in that palette.
Okay, so you could change
Correct.
colors,
But not on the logo.
not on the logo.
Yes.
So
Okay.
the intent of the logo is to have, you have a full color logo that's in its all its
Okay,
glory, and that's the
okay.
one that you see.
Okay,
There are times in all communications that you need a one color version of it.
So white.
So a reversed out or a one color, and that's actually what you see here, right? So although you don't have your ongoing logo isn't blue, if there's a reason to have a one color ad or piece of communication, you have a one color version that does it. Your standard is gonna be, your 4-color version is gonna be the earth tone and the green,
right.
for sure.
So in this package, there's also this smaller, I call it the stamp, what's it called?
The-
Oh, the
mark-
seal.
The seal, the seal.
Uh-huh.
Now, is that something that we're gonna approve as well, right now?
Mhm.
Okay, so the intent with the S, let's see.
It's just a different version.
Okay,
So it's the same S that you see
Yeah.
currently on the logo.
like on page 6. So this S by itself, right? If I would have that on my shirt, no one was gonna know what that means. It could be South, it could be Sequoia, where you have a logo like for example, like this tells you the whole story. That tells you what this is. This is Green Bay Packers, right?
Correct, but
That
this
tells
is
you
a
what it
new logo, so
I know.
eventually the
I know,
hope
but-
is that
but it-
it will tell a story.
But I think, I don't know, maybe, right, maybe in
Like
time,
Shafter High when they created their S.
Yeah,
In
the
time,
first time that G came out, no one knew what it was.
Yes.
But we do because we've seen it a gazillion times a year. A
right,
good example is maybe you have a hat that has the full logo on it and you want to put something on the back too. So just put that S on the back. So it's giving you
smaller version.
when an S is appropriate. And that's part of the evaluation of, is the S by itself is appropriate? Well, no one will know who we are. Well, don't use
Right.
it. But when you do use one, that's the one you use. That's the intent of it. Does that make sense?
See, that's what I feel that needs to grow. We need to have those as a group decide that that's really what we want, and I'm not ready for it. And we don't even have Gus with us. I mean, he hasn't been in on this conversation tonight.
Well, he was part of the committee,
Yes.
so
but he
he's,
wasn't
he's
here
part of the
tonight.
one who,
But he
who,
hasn't even seen this, so.
he has.
Yes, he has.
He has seen all of
He's
this.
seen everything.
Any other questions? No, very good questions, very good questions.
I'm trying to,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
no,
understand this,
that's
I'm
right.
trying to.
No, I don't disagree with you one bit.
It just, I don't want people to think southern, south, like South High or.
But we don't
Chapter
think-
two, because.
But as an example, we don't think that with Shafter High,
Yeah.
right? We've
Right.
embraced it. The community has embraced it over the years, and maybe it's changed in some ways or some
And
form.
it's all about time too.
Yes,
I get it.
correct.
I'm not, but I do like I like this one right here. This one right here.
But you would be
Like it.
approving
This
all
one here.
three.
I
Yeah, but
really like
you're
that
getting all of them.
You would get
one.
all.
I know.
We would just
that-
use them at different times.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was asking, approving this a package, that means all three, right?
Yes.
The hope, if I can say the hope, so one of the reasons that he's gonna kill me for even going here, but one of the reasons we went so hard on this S situation was that it literally, okay, if I'm looking at the screen in front of us, see where it just says Shafter Skate Park? It was just Shafter, which is great. But the question that kept coming up was, what happens if it's only an S, right? What happens if it's only that one aspect of it? How can something stand alone yet also be included as part of the name? Which is why that S started to become a bigger deal. By itself, it becomes part of the whole. But if you put it into the whole, like you were talking about you were saying you like the logo there. The S, it's the same S. So it becomes part as the whole and part as an individual. It was the hope that we can see it grow to. If you think about a hat, and I think your Green Bay thing was kind of a perfect timing. Because if you think about no, seriously, if you think about a hat, so often today, if you see the block S, the first thing you think of is Shafter High. The one symbol, the one letter just suddenly became, there was so much emphasis behind it because what it represented. And so the hope was that this could have its own identity, so that one thing could also be an identity to the whole.
Looking at that small S more and more and more and more and more, it was like a rooster. No,
No, I can see that. I can see that.
See, it
Birds.
needs to
I love
grow.
it.
It needs to grow on you.
No,
Just-
that's what it looks like to me. I mean,
Well,
looking at it
roosters
now.
are a part of our community.
So we're all roosters now. Our logo mascot is roosters now.
So tonight, yes, to answer the original question, tonight is the approval of the final city branding package. Any other questions or comments on?
Yeah, my comment is, you're forcing me to make a decision when I just don't feel comfortable with it, and you won't allow us some time to
No, ma'am.
learn more about it.
I'm not forcing anything, ma'am.
You are forcing us to make a decision, and I didn't want to have to vote no, but I want to feel more comfortable about it.
If we table this,
Because I'm not a graphic artist, and I don't have the same feeling that either one of you have had. And I want to be able to, I mean, the discussion hasn't been bad tonight. I want to be able to feel good about it.
And I think it's important to know that
It doesn't have to be
the whole
rushed.
community is not gonna have the same feeling. They're not.
That's right. So
And that's
why-
reality.
But it
Some
doesn't have to
will
be
like it and
decided
some
tonight.
will not, but
It doesn't have to be decided tonight. It just can, I
Well,
mean, it's up to us to decide, but
I, for one, I like the concept and, I like the look on page number 8 where it's, Shafter Public Works, Shafter Police Department, Shafter Economic Development. I like the look on the pickups. I thought that is very distinctive. So I would make a motion to go forward.
thank you.
That you're making a motion for it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so motion then, and that's the proper way of looking at that, and there's no pushing on it. But there is a motion on the table for the approval of the city branding package?
Yeah.
if we had to table it, what setback is there? I'm tabling it maybe to our next meeting. I know next one's canceled or however that may.
we only went into this almost 2 years ago, so it's not that big of a deal to wait for a while.
I don't know what kind of setback or what's our expectations or or where are we at? What's going on?
Council, so we're following your guys' direction. So we, this time, the staff portion of it has been completed, so it is fully in your guys' court.
It just,
So it can be tabled.
And I think the recommendation from the city attorney would be to continue the matter, not
Okay, same thing, okay.
Just different
Continue
language.
to the next meeting at that point, yeah. And that's okay too. I actually don't disagree in moving it forward. I do like it. However, I do want to ensure that we do have everyone here, and I know Gus is out for this evening, and that way we have a collective. I'd rather see a collective out of it instead of a 4-0. So if that's okay, I know there's a motion on the table to, okay, you want to rescind and just do a table, or what's the word? Okay, thank you. We'll let that die then. If somebody else wants to make a motion for, thank you. I was looking for the right word. Continue it to the next meeting, which is May 6th. So looking either for,
I'll make a motion to continue.
Okay.
What was that called? Would you
Yep,
say
continuing.
continue to May 6th, just gives us a little bit more time to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, we just do, I mean, that's what I was saying, there's no setback, there's no millions of dollars on hold or.
No, we've been holding off on stuff. It's.
I'll second it.
hold on. Okay, so we're on the same page. I do have a motion to continue to May 6th council meeting. All right. And I have a motion to continue to May 6th council meeting, a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, a second by Councilmember Espinoza. I need a roll call vote on the amended approvals to motion to continue to May 6th. It's amended to based on what it was, no? Okay, other motion died. So it's some roll call for motion to continue to May 6th.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yeah. All right, very good.
And
Hey,
thank you. for
very
all that
good job.
work, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Steve, thank you once again for everything you did, even though we're gonna have to talk about your company colors. Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Item number 3 is the declaration of land located near Resnick Way and Express Avenue as non-exempt surplus property, and I given it to Gio. All right, that's people are up. I didn't know where we were going. Hello, sir.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council. What a presentation to follow up, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a tone shift to a more serious, so apologies. The item brought to you tonight is a staff recommendation to declare a city-owned parcel of land located near Resnick Way and Express Avenue, identified as APN 091-25309 as non-exempt surplus property. This parcel totals approximately 7.21 acres and is currently zoned for industrial use. It's located in proximity to several major industrial employers, and at present, the land is currently vacant. Under the State Surplus Land Act, before we can dispose of land that's no longer needed for municipal use, we're required to first declare it either exempt or non-exempt surplus. And in this case, staff is recommending that the property be designated as non-exempt surplus. And this action would allow us to begin the formal process outlined by the California Surplus Land Act guidelines, disposing of the property. That includes issuing a notice of availability to entities such as affordable housing developers, park agencies, and others identified by the statute. These entities would then have 30 days to express interest. And should we receive any letters of interest, we're required to enter into good faith negotiations for a 90-day period. And if we don't reach an agreement, or if no interest is made within that 30 days initial window, the city is then free to proceed with marketing the property more broadly. And with that, staff recommends adoption of Resolution 3015, which would formally declare the parcel with the APN of 091-25309 as non-exempt surplus land, approve the notice of availability, and direct the city manager or designee to carry out the required steps under the Surplus Land Act guidelines. I'm happy to answer any questions before any motion is made. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, comments, concerns on item number 3, folks?
Maybe you could, where's it at on this map?
Right up here.
Is it, oh, the whole The whole.
It's not the whole piece. It's
No,
a
it's
sliver of said piece.
What, 8 acres or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's what's highlighted on Exhibit A of the resolution, in blue, if it's colored.
Oh, the strip
Mhm.
itself?
Strip now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that piece right next to the rail that's sitting there.
Well, we can't use-
Is that
Very long. thin-
even possible for
Okay,
housing?
I said.
No.
here,
Yeah, that blue strip.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I try to understand it, but
I don't know who's
I'm
gonna
wondering
build
why we
the
have to
strip.
offer it for
It's kinda
housing when it's
silly.
not suitable for housing.
It is.
Hold on,
silly,
hold
yeah.
on.
We have
have
similar
questions over here.
I'm holding on.
Thanks for keeping me straight on that, Gio.
Thank you. You guys had questions?
I just didn't know what piece that was, and I was just asking if there's anything we could use it for, just trying to. Yeah.
No, it's silly.
Say it again.
No, never mind.
So I couldn't hear you.
I was just trying to see if we could use, if there's any other things that we could use it for.
So just to clarify, we have to go through the Surplus Land Act process first. It has to be considered for housing before we can consider it for anything else. And it has to have an open period with which to consider it. So we have to hold this up open for 30 days for housing to consider it only.
Okay, so we know housing's not gonna go there, right? So pretty logic.
Right. Surplus Land Act.
Okay, all right, so,
That's why I said
State of
it's silly.
California.
so once that stage is over with, then we revisit this, or is it already done deal? Is there anything that we could use it for as a city?
We can't discuss it until 30 days.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I move the motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Proud, a second by Councilmember Alvarado. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Givens.
Yes, item number 4 is the Shafter Aquatic Center Modular Building Project Award. Hello, sir. Mr. James, how are you?
Good to see you. Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, Michael James, Director of Public Works. The Aquatic Center pool restoration, partially funded by a Clean California grant, is wrapping up. And as I'm sure you're aware, there's a next phase to the project, which is the new building plan at the facility. As authorized by the council, Public Works recently conducted formal bidding for the building. Unfortunately, we didn't receive any bids. It wasn't because of a lack of interest. In fact, it was a lack of time and resources the contractors had during our particular bid schedule that we put out. But rather than waiting for another full round of bidding, the city has the option with no bid scenarios to negotiate a construction contract with a qualified contractor. And we think this is the best option, notably because there's a sense of urgency amongst the council and amongst the community to fully restore the aquatic center as soon as possible. And realistically, there's a strong possibility that another round of bidding won't exactly yield competitive numbers. So given this option, Public Works chose to reach out to JTS Modular, a company based in Bakersfield specializing in modular building construction, which this project is designed for. And they were recently awarded the PD Police Department substation project. Staff asked JTS to provide a cost proposal to complete the project while complying with terms of the original bid package. Their proposed cost is $2,445,000, which we determined to be fair. The price per square foot is consistent with what we're going to be paying for the police substation building. A suggested budget to cover their costs plus contingencies is $2.7 million. It's important to note that if awarded this project, JTS is expected to be completed early next year, before the summer swim season, but not before the start of the high school swim season. And it's also important to note that this particular project doesn't include miscellaneous site work, which is currently under design, which includes things like utility services, parking lot improvements, flat work, sidewalks, ADA ramps, things like that. Going into this current fiscal year, there was $3 million programmed for this project. When you factor in the money that has been committed to engineering and architectural services, we're down to about 2.85 million, which is enough to cover the 2.7 that I was referring to for a budget. But it's important to point out that we do need to replace federal ARPA funds that were originally contributing to the budget that we had to ensure that it's properly funded. The ARPA funding had to be allocated to other projects because notably the Veterans Park soccer field lighting, because the ARPA had a deadline for expending the funds. So with that, the recommendation tonight, oh, by the way, the most feasible option to supplement the ARPA funds is an appropriation of the general fund. The recommendation tonight is kind of a unique circumstance. We're actually asking for a resolution to be adopted, a resolution that documents the no bid scenario that we're facing, but also a remedy to address the lack of bids. We're also asking for authorization to award a contract to JTS Modular for an amount up to $2.7 million. And finally, a general fund budget appropriation in the amount of $630,976.50 to make sure we have funding moving forward with this project. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or respond to concerns.
Questions, comments, or concerns,
Yeah,
council?
didn't we use those dollars for some other projects?
The soccer field lighting at Veterans Park.
Yes. So, yeah, so I mean, it was used. We didn't lose
We
it.
didn't forfeit the funds.
No. Okay, that's what I wanted.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns, council?
So what was your projected date, Mike? It's gonna be, we're gonna miss the summer, but we're gonna catch the
We're going
high
to catch
school.
the summer, but we're going to miss the start of the high school swim season, which typically starts in January.
Mhm.
This is a 9-month project.
Okay.
And so we're spilling over into a year from now. Once you
February-ish.
factor in signing contracts, insurance, things like that.
Okay. And then we don't know what the extras are gonna cost, what you were talking about, the extras that needs to be done.
Not at the moment. We'll have with this general fund appropriation that we're asking for, we'll have a surplus of funding to invest in those miscellaneous improvements. So once we open bids for that additional work, then we'll come back to you with an outcome and then possible more budget action if necessary.
Okay, thank you.
So it's correct to say the project could be finished by January, but not available to the swim program till summer
The building will likely not be ready for the high school swim team to use it.
in January of 26.
Correct.
That's right. That's what I just asked.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Any other questions? No? All good? Okay, with that, I'm looking for a motion, please.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Alvarado, second by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Prout,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Given.
Yes. Very happy to see that one moving forward. That is the end of our management report items for the evening. City manager comments and reports. Any, sir?
Just thank you to the departments in finance. They've been doing a lot of prep work in anticipation of budget this year, and I very much appreciate them modifying for the new city manager and being responsive. So looking forward to presenting that to you.
Any director department comments or reports? Okay. With that, there is no items on the closed session, so I am going to ask for a motion and a second for adjournment, please.
I'll motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, second by Councilmember Prout. All those in favor of adjournment with aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed, hearing none, adjourned at 7:38 PM.
So no closed session, no